we have mostly everyone, which is absolutely wonderful. So before we get started, I'm going to share a poll. So for those of you that have been here before, I recognize lots of names. You'll know how to do this, but if this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. My name is Janelle, and behind the scenes, we have Gabby right over here, who will be answering questions throughout the entire time. Unfortunately, we cannot see or hear any of you, although we would love to, but you'll be able to talk with us through the chat box or through these polls. If you're joining us through the internet, then you may not see these polls pop up, but I will always ask the question and you can answer in the Q&A or the chat. So my question is, have you been to an online session before? And if you have been to an online session, why don't you put in the chat which ones you've been to, and we'll see maybe who's been to the most.
Oh.
For those of you joining us for the first time, we hope you have lots of fun with us, and we welcome you to our online sessions. And if this is your first time joining us, I would love to know what your favorite color is, because I've asked that question a lot. So I'd love to know, if you're joining us for the first time, what is your favorite color?
So it looks like Nate has been in our story time on Friday, and Melanie, she built the igloo with you, Janelle, on Monday last week.
Nate, we hope you loved the story, and we hope that you join us for a lot more sessions. Rocco, you've been to like everything with us. We love it. Kaylee, Kaylee is the first time joining, and she loves pink and purple. Perfect. Gabby's favorite color is actually purple.
Yes.
Kentero's also joining us for the first time, and their favorite color is green and blue. Ethan, you've been to almost everything, which is also amazing. For those of you that have been here before, how many of you remember what my favorite color is?
Ooh.
So I'll give you some time to think about that while we get started. So today we are going to look at the scientific method. And this is kind of an interesting thing because scientists use this a lot every day. It looks like Queen Mila, I hope I'm saying your name. It's one, I'm hoping so. But I might go with Mila for now, has been to igloos. But I'm gonna bring up another poll. Venus, no, blue isn't my favorite color, but I used to love that one. But I'll give you all a hint. It starts with the letter Y. So I'm gonna bring up this next question on the poll is, what is the scientific method? That's right, Venus. Yellow is my favorite color. Perfect. Look at all of you getting that color in. So I have another poll up for you. What do you think the scientific method is? You don't have to be right. That's why I am here to talk to you all about it today. So I'll give you all another maybe 10 seconds to answer that, just like before. 10, 9, 8, and if you can't see the poll, that's okay. So the poll asks, what is the scientific method? Is it how we come up with a question and test it? Is it something sciencey? Or is it something how we use science in everyday life? And that's okay if you don't know. I will talk about it today, and hopefully after you'll all be experts. Okay.
Mini scientists.
Yes, you'll all be mini scientists, just like me. I'm not mini, but I am a scientist, so. All right, so what exactly is the scientific method? So those of you that said that it's how we test the question, you're right. So there are 6 steps to the scientific method. And first of all, we need to ask a question that we want to know more about. And once we have that question, we then need to research that topic. And research means that we need to try and find all the information that we can that we think will help us, so that we can go to the library and look in books, we can use the internet, we can ask people that we know that are experts or know a lot about it. And that's how we find out more about that question. And then we make a hypothesis, we do an experiment, we review our results. And don't worry, I'm going through this a little fast. That's because I have another question for all of you. And I used a bit of a funny word there. I used the word hypothesis. So I'm going to ask you another question. And this poll says, what is a hypothesis? And if you can't see the poll, that's okay. You can put 1, 2, or 3 in the chat if you want to put in an answer. And so what is a hypothesis? Is it a good guess based on something random? Is it a good guess based on information you have? Or is it just something science and you don't really know what it is and you'd like me to tell you the answer? So I'm going to give you another, let's say 8 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, looks like most of you have answered, which is perfect. And for those of you that said it is a good guess based on information you have, that's right. It's because a hypothesis, and there's going to be another big word in this answer, but don't worry, I'll talk about it. So a hypothesis is a good guess based on all the information that we got from when we did research. So educated means that it's something that we thought about. It's not just something that we pulled out of the air and we were like, yeah, that looks like a good question to ask. We'll try that. So to give you an example, what I'm going to say is this. So we're looking at the scientific method again. And I want to ask a question of how do apple trees grow? And so I'm going to research and find all the information I can about apple seeds. What do they need to grow? Do they need water? Do they need soil? They need sunlight. These are some of the things that apple seeds need to grow. So my hypothesis, or the question, or the good guess I'm going to ask is, will an apple seed grow if it doesn't have any water? So when I do an experiment, I'll have one apple seed that will get water, and we'll have one apple seed that will get no water at all. And so I'm going to use water and I'm going to help them to see if they'll grow. And step number 5 says, review your results. So I found out that the apple seed that got water grew into this giant apple tree, while the one that didn't get any water just stayed in the soil and did nothing. And so I can either take my answer and I can tell other people, or maybe I'll change something about it and try again. So maybe I'm like, okay, so I know it needs water. What about sunlight? Does it need sunlight to grow? And so that's right, Ochi. Plants need soil, water, and sunlight to grow. And so when I was making my hypothesis, so my good guess, I wouldn't say something like, will this apple seed grow into an orange tree if I give it water? Because that's silly. An apple seed isn't going to turn into an orange tree. That might be kind of cool, but it's not a very good hypothesis because it's not a very good question. So that is what the scientific method is, and it's what we scientists use all the time to try and come up with experiments to answer questions. So I have a bit of a mini experiment for all of you. And I will be showing you all of this so you don't have to worry about getting any supplies, but you're going to help me keep track of the results. That means you're going to help me write in the chat what happens. And then you're going to help me answer some questions about why you think it worked. So in our Sink and Float demo, we're going to have lots of different candies, and we're going to see if any of them float in water. So I'm going to do the first part for all of you. And I did all the research I could to find out what helps things float. The first thing I found was air helps things float. So the best way to think about this is if you're doing a cannonball or if you're jumping into a swimming pool, and you have no life jacket on, you'll probably just sink into the water a little bit until you swim your way back to the top. But if you jump into the water and you have a life jacket on, your life jacket has what we call air pockets. And if you were with me in the marshmallow demo, I told you air pockets aren't like pockets like you find in your jeans or your jacket. They have little bits of air in it that help you to float. And so that's what a life jacket does. So when you jump into the water, the life jacket helps you float right back to the top because air is lighter than water. The next thing we found was an object floats. It pushes water out of the way. So if you were to go in a bathtub, you might find that when you sit in it, the water level on your bathtub rises a little bit. And that's because your body moves all the water out of the way so that you can sit in the tub. And so that's what happens when an object floats in the water. It moves the water out of the way so it can just sit there and just float at the top of the water. And lastly, molecules farther apart float better. So what exactly does that mean? Well, everything that you see, whether it be this bowl, whether it be this Kit Kat, whether it be my shirt, everything is made out of molecules. And these are little things, even smaller than the Skittle, that you can't see with your naked eye. And these molecules, you can think of them as round little things that move around, maybe like marbles. And some of them are either really close together, and some of them are kind of spread apart and they float around. And the ones that are a little farther apart, they tend to float a bit better in the water. So with that in mind, we are going to go to the next part of our demo, which is, I think the question I'm going to ask, or my hypothesis is, I think that candies with more air will float. And so you're all going to help me with that. So I have a poll question for all of you. And in this poll, it's a little different from the others because you can select more than one answer, okay? So what candy do you think will float? And go ahead and you can all answer that. And don't worry, I will make sure that you all have some time to answer. Don't worry if you think you're wrong, there's no need to worry. Just answer what you think might happen and we'll see what happens because that is our experiment. So it looks like a lot of you think that marshmallows are going to float. Not a lot of you think that anything else will float, just the marshmallows, these squishy little things that we've used before, and hopefully they will float. So I might give you all another 10 seconds to answer, but if you all answer before I'm done this, then you're all speedy quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So it looks like a lot of you said that you think the marshmallows are going to float. And then after that, you think Skittles, Smarties, and then it looks like Kit Kat has the least amount of votes. So we'll have to see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my camera and I'm going to stop the PowerPoint. So hopefully most of you now can see my cup of water and you can still see me talking depending on what you're using to look at Zoom. And so I need a speedy quick typer, the first one that tells me what candy to test first, I will do that one. So we have Skittles, we have Kit Kats, we have Smarties, Marshmallows, Starburst, Hershey, Nate, speedy quick. Looks like Nate and Ethan are all in agreement that we're going to be doing marshmallows first. Okay, so we'll start with marshmallows. I will switch out to my marshmallow cup. Oh, wait, yep, marshmallow cup. And we have this water. We have our squishy little marshmallow here. And Gabby, will you give me a countdown?
Yes. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
So it looks like marshmallow floats. So if I can have some helpful people in the chat, can you write that marshmallow floats?
I'm writing it too. So the next one, Janelle, looks like it came from Lisa and Kaylee.
Okay.
It's Kit Kat.
Okay.
And Lisa loves Kit Kats too.
So it looks like we're going to be doing Kit Kats. So I'm going to have to break open my Kit Kat, and Gabby's going to eat the other half for me because she loves Kit Kat.
Such a complicated task.
And so Gabby, will you give me a countdown?
3, 2, 1.
It floats. It looks like Kit Kats float. So can I get my helpful little typers here and that can type that Kit Kat floats for me? Perfect. Thank you, Kaylee. So it looks like a lot of you didn't think that Kit Kats would float, and that's okay. That's what science is. We test things to see if we're right or if we're wrong, and it's fun to find out what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna need another speedy typer to tell me what candy I should do next. So I have Smarties, Skittles, Starburst, and Hershey's Kisses left. So we'll have to see. Ooh, Nate. Nate, you type so fast. Okay, we're gonna do Skittles then. And so I'm wondering if any of you have a favorite Skittle flavor. I usually like the green one, but today we're gonna do a yellow Skittle, pretty small. Ooh, Nate loves grape. Those are the purple ones, I think. What about you, Gabby?
I love the red ones.
The red ones, okay. So another countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so it looks like the Skittle floated all the way down to the bottom of the cup. Melanie, yep, we're doing Skittles. Lucia, your favorite is yellow, so we chose a good color for this one. So it looks like Skittle sunk. So maybe my typers in the chat can put Skittles. Yep, perfect. Skittles sink or Skittles sunk. Perfect. Okay, so Nate, you're a speedy typer, so I think I might let someone else do this next one. So you can wait for me, okay? So can someone else type for me what candy I should do next? Should we do Smarties, Starburst, or Hershey's Kisses? Kaylee.
Kisses.
Kaylee said Kisses. Perfect. All right, Ethan, we will do Starburst right after that, okay? So perfect. I love all my typers in the chat. So Gabby, or how about this? In my chat, can all of you type 3, 2, 1, and then I'll put in the Hershey's Kisses. 3, 2, 1. Okay, perfect.
It's sunk.
All right. So it looks like Hershey's sunk. So maybe let's put that in the chat. And it looks like we might have had someone raise their hand. And Rocco, I think you also had something about water. Don't worry, I think your water will be okay for the next little bit. I promise you we're almost done, and then we'll start our next experiment, okay? For any of you raising your hand, it might be because either you can't put it in the chat, or if you have questions. I believe if you're not able to use the chat, you should be able to use the Q&A part on anything if you're using the internet or if you're using the Zoom app. So you'll be able to put anything in there and we'll be able to talk to you through that. So I think the next one was, what was it, Gabby?
It was Starburst.
Starburst?
From Ethan.
Okay, Ethan says Starburst. Okay. I don't know if any of you have Starburst before, but no one seems to like the yellow one. But I really like the yellow flavor. So it's good for me because whenever someone eats Starburst, I always get the yellow one. So I'm always happy. So can I get another 3, 2, 1 in the chat? Just like before?
3, 2, 1.
Gabby did it in Spanish, right? Perfect. It looks like Starburst sunk. So thank you, Bella, Weston, Nate. All of you are putting that in the chat. Perfect. Thank you very much. All of you are helping me keep track because I have nothing to write with. So how would I know?
And last but
not least, we have Smarties. And I have the color red. I'm wondering if red Smarties are any of your favorite. Ooh, Luchi says your favorite, I think Starburst, or is it Smarties is pink. I know there are lots of different things. Perfect. So can I get another 3, 2, 1, and then I'll do it again. Perfect. Thank you, Nate. Are anyone else going to do 3, 2, 1?
Oh,
Perfect.
Bella,
Celia, Bella, perfect. And it looks like Smarties also sunk all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so I have all of you Smarty Pants with me, my mini scientists. Can you remember what 2 things decided to float? And then if you're right, I will pull them back up. So if you can type in the chat or the Q&A for me, what 2 candies could float? I have marshmallows from Nate, and Rocco said Kit Kat. I'll give you all another 5 seconds if you wanted to type that yourself. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it looks like Ethan slipped in there with marshmallow and Kit Kat. Perfect. So I'm just going to show you that on my screen. Perfect, Ava. So we have this little marshmallow here that floated in the water. Some of you might be able to see it's just chilling. And then we have our Kit Kat, which was the one that received or got the smallest amount of votes. Not a lot of you thought the Kit Kat would float. And so I have a question for all of you. Why do you think that the Kit Kat and the marshmallow floated? Hi, Weston. Perfect. I see that you have your hand raised, and I see that you typed a G in our Q&A, and I can let you know that we saw it. So if you wanted to type anything else there, that would be perfect. So we have some of you saying, Ethan, that there's air inside. Venus, that you're saying that it's really light. Nate, that there are air bubbles. Perfect. That's right. So in the little marshmallows we have that are very, very squishy, that has a lot of air. And then we have our Kit Kats. I'm going to show you what the inside of a Kit Kat looks like. It might be hard to see on my camera. But in this Kit Kat, we have chocolate, and we also have our cookie or our wafer layers. And it might be really hard to see because the camera doesn't want to focus on something so small. But in the cookies, there are lots of little air bubbles, just like Nate and Ethan have talked about. Rocco, that's right. Kit Kat has holes in it. And all those little holes help it to float, just like the marshmallow. And that's right. Oh, I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna say it. Kihua, that's right. It is so light, just like the marshmallows. And Princess, that's just right. They have a lot of air in them, so they help them float. So thank you, all of you, for being my perfect helpers and helping me know how these candies will float in the water. That's right. If you just need a quick break, that's okay, just to get all your things. So I'm just going to share on the screen now our presentation, just like before. And so you all were very, very helpful for that experiment, and I hope you had lots of fun. You can try it at home with different things if you want to see what else floats. I know some people try things like a little orange, like a little mandarin, and when it's peeled and when it's not peeled. So maybe you can try that at home. But for now, I am going to talk about non-Newtonian fluids. And I think some of you might be on the chat as well, which is perfectly fine. Gabby will also answer anything there. And let me just share my face. Thank you, Nate, for letting me know that my camera wasn't on the right one. Hopefully you can all see my smiling face now. So we're all going to talk about non-Newtonian fluids. And that sounds a little bit funny. But I need you all to know that it was named after Sir Isaac Newton. And Sir Isaac Newton is this man right here that isn't with us today. But he's a very, very old mathematician. And a mathematician is someone that is really good at taking math problems and solving them, even ones that we didn't know were even possible. So for some of you, you might love math and maybe one day you'll be a mathematician as well. And I think that would be amazing. But what we're working on today was from the help of Sir Isaac Newton. And so Oobleck is what we call it, or a non-Newtonian fluid. But for now, I'm just going to call it Oobleck because it's a little shorter to say. And Oobleck is a little bit weird because we have these three things. And it's called a gas, a liquid, and a solid. And all these three things are different things that we might find. So the air that we breathe, that's gas. All this water that we have is liquid. And solids are things like this bowl. But for now, I'm going to talk about water. And all these things, they have these molecules that float around, those things that we talked about before that we can't see. And they can either be crazy and they all are wild and they're floating everywhere like in a gas. In a liquid, they're a little more calmer, but they float around a bit more slowly and have a little more space. And then in a solid, like a bowl, they're all really, really close together. And in a liquid, we find like water. If I were to dip my finger in, it just goes right in the water, no big deal. But if I were to try and scoop some water out, I can't really hold the water, can I? It just kind of goes back into the cup unless I were to freeze it and it would turn into an ice cube, right? So we're gonna make something called Oobleck, and that's a non-Newtonian fluid. And the three states, gas, liquid, and solid, I was talking about, you'll see kind of why we had to talk about them once we start making this. Rocco, you might know why, but don't tell anyone else yet, okay? You can tell us at the end and you can be the smarty pants of the group. And so what you're going to need, I will show it in the camera. You will need cornstarch, about 4 cups. If you have a little bit less, that's okay. Just tell me in the chat so I can tell you how much water to add. But we're going to be using 4 cups. You're going to need a whole bunch of water. You're going to need a giant mixing bowl like we have. You're going to need a mixing spoon, and all of you might laugh about this, but I have this giant metal spoon that I'm going to mix. It's bigger than my head. You all might laugh at that, but I don't know why I have it, but I do. I'm also going to be using some food coloring, which is optional, and optional means that you don't have to use it. So I have food coloring, and then lastly, I have measuring cups. And so I am going to now stop this share, and I am going to share this screen again. I have so many cameras so that all of you can see what we're doing. And so I'm just going to give you all a couple minutes just to get everything that you need. And once you're ready, you can either raise your hand if you can't chat in the chat box, or in the chat box, you can say that you are ready to go. And in the meantime, I am going to get all our cameras ready so you can see what we will be doing. And don't worry, you're not going to be able to see me or anything else, but that's just because I'm going to get all the cameras ready for us. I am back, and hopefully you can all hear me again. So there are going to be a couple different things you might see. You might see my big bowl. You might also see me talking. For those of you that need how much, or wondering how much cornstarch you might have, if you're only using 2 cups, you'll only need about 1 cup of water. And Gabby's going to put that in the chat for all of you to see. And don't worry, and if you're using 4 cups like me, that's perfect. But for those of you that need some extra help, do not worry. So hopefully you're all ready to go. I see most of you are putting smiley faces or saying ready, which is perfect. I love it. So I'm going to get started here. So I'm going to have, this is my 1 cup measuring cup, and I'm just going to put it in the bowl because I don't have like 4 hands to use everything. I'm going to get my bowl, my giant bag of cornstarch. Perfect, Ryan. I love that you're ready to go. And I'm going to start measuring. And I'm going to be using 4 cups. If you're only using 2, that's perfectly okay. So I'm going to start with measuring my first cup of cornstarch and pouring that in. I'm going to get my second cup. And I might be going a little bit fast, so just let me know if I am. I'll do another poll after I'm done measuring, just to make sure you're all on the same step as me. But for now, I'm just going to keep measuring. This is my second cup of cornstarch. For those of you that are only using 2 cups of cornstarch, that's perfectly okay. Gabby put the instructions for you in the chat, but I will say them out loud just in case you can't see them. If you're only using 2 cups of cornstarch, you'll only be using 1 cup of water, okay? And for those of you using 4 cups, just like me, you'll be likely using about 2 cups of water. But that's just because we're going to be adding the water slowly, so it doesn't get too watery. But just so you all know, that's how much I'll be using approximately. And approximately means about. So it's a kind of a guess, a good guess. So that's about 4 cups of cornstarch that I have filled up in my bowl. I'm going to give you all a little bit of time just to make sure that we're all on the right track. A poll is going to go on the screen that says, am I going too fast? If yes, that just means that you're probably still measuring and putting stuff in your bowl, which is okay. If you say no, I'm going to guess that you're on the right track and you're almost done measuring, just like me. And don't worry at all. I will make sure that we're all on the same pace, so we're all on the same step before we go to the next one. If you are done and you have it all measured, which is perfect, in the chat, I would love to know what your favorite, what do you think, Gabby? What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite time of day? Do you like the morning? Do you like the afternoon? Do you like the nighttime? I am a night owl myself.
Me too.
Which means I love the nighttime. It's much more quiet. But I know some of you might like the morning better. Ethan likes the afternoon. Afternoon is very nice. Nate also loves the night. Perfect, which is nice. I like to call myself night owls. Ryan, I would call yourself a morning owl, or maybe even a morning bird. I don't know what you think would be the best thing to describe you as in the morning. In the morning, I'm a bit grumpy because I'm not quite awake yet. Kaylee also likes the afternoon. Perfect. So it looks like most of you are on the same step as me at this point. So I'm just going to quickly ask again, are you on the same step as me now? Have I given you all enough time to measure all your cornstarch. Quintero also loves the morning. Kaylee loves the afternoon. What's your favorite thing to do during that time? During the morning, do you love to eat breakfast? In the afternoon, do you maybe go on walks or bike rides? In the nighttime, I like to watch some movies. I love watching Disney. Rocco's more active at night. Rocco, what do you do at nighttime? Do you get to play some video games? Do you get to watch movies like Nate? Ethan loves playing video games. Kaylee likes to play at the park. Oh, that's lots of fun. Nate, have fires. Is that like a bonfire where you get to roast marshmallows and make s'mores? I haven't had that in so long. Okay, so it looks like all of you are on the same step as me. Is perfect. If you are not, that's okay. Gabby will be able to help you and I will review. So I'll go back on my steps after. So now that I have all my cornstarch measured, again, if you only have 2 cups, you're going to add 1 cup of water. If you added 4 cups of cornstarch, just like me, I'm going to start by adding probably 1 cup of water, just so I can start mixing. But after that, I'll add the 2nd cup.
The reason why Janelle is pouring 1 cup of water first, for those of you doing 4 cups of cornstarch, is because it will get a little harder to mix. So let's start with a little bit before. So for those of you doing 2 cups of cornstarch, start with ½ cup of water first.
And I'm using a spoon to mix it. And the best way to kind of do that is you'll notice that I'm having a bit of a hard time getting all of the cornstarch mixed with the water. And sometimes it just helps to kind of wiggle your spoon back and forth like this to add all that water to the cornstarch. So for those of you that added 4 cups like me, at this point, I think I'll add my next cup of water so that I can add all this next part. I might save some water for afterwards. So I did about half of that next cup, just so that I can start adding more water. Venus said that she likes going biking in the afternoon. Ooh, that's lots of fun too. I think I like going on bike rides with my parents. My bike is gray and orange. I'm wondering if some of you have some cooler bikes than I do.
Mine is purple because my favorite color is purple.
Okay, so I'm just gonna add all this. I'm getting the corn flour. Oh, geez, that is perfect. Go ahead and get that corn starch, we call it. So if you need a couple more minutes, you don't need to use 4 cups. You can use 2 cups, you can use 1 cup, but the important thing is you'll only be using half the amount of water for the cornstarch that you use. So some of you might be like me, where it's getting a little bit hard to mix. As you can see, so when I tip my bowl like this, a lot of the liquid moves forward, but I have a bunch of these lumps. So what I'm going to try and do is to see if I made oobleck right, because I'm going to try and wiggle my spoon in and see if I can mix any more of that cornstarch with the water. So it's going to get a little bit hard for me to do anything. So at this point, I think I'm going to add my food coloring. And so if I have a speedy typer out there, I don't know, Nate, this might be you again. What color should I make my oobleck? For those of you at home, you can go ahead and make it any color that you want. But for me, I'm going to see who can type what color I should make this. And if I don't get an answer, Kaylee, speedy typer, said green. So I'm going to use my bright green food coloring. And for me, I'm going to use quite a bit so that it shows up on the camera. But for you, since you'll be able to see it all on your own, you only need about 2 or 4 drops of food coloring. But I used a lot so that you can all see, hopefully, the green color once I finish mixing it all. So for a lot of you, it's probably getting really hard to mix, which is perfect. The best way to test if you've made oobleck is if you dip your hand into the oobleck after you've mixed in all the color, and if you squeeze it into a bowl, if you squeeze your hand as tight as you can around the oobleck, will it make something solid? So we talked about water before, where if I try to take some water and I squish it, it just stays water. It just runs out of my hands. But oobleck's a little different, and you get something pretty solid, which I'm struggling to mix in right now, as you can all see. So I'm gonna quickly just test all of my oobleck. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hand, I'm gonna take some of the oobleck, and I'm gonna scoop it into my hand, and I'm gonna make my hand as tight as I can around as much oobleck as I can grab. And then I'm gonna turn my hand around so that all of you can see, and you might see that anything I'm not squishing is just running out of my hand. But when I open it up, I have something solid like this that I can keep moving. I'm gonna keep moving it just so that all of you can take a quick look. And it looks like this kind of bit of a ball that I can keep moving around. And the more I move it, the more that it's like a solid. But as soon as I stop, Gabby, what happens?
It
becomes
becomes
like a liquid and it starts running everywhere. It'll go back in. And so I'm just going to show you that again. I'm going to grab all the oobleck I can try and grab with my hand in the bowl. I'm going to squeeze my hand as tight as I can like a fist. Pretend you're giving whoever you love the biggest hug that you can, but you're using your hand around the oobleck. And then if I show you again, we have this weird kind of solid thing that I can play around with. And it's kind of weird because as soon as I stop, all of a sudden it starts to turn into a liquid again.
So why does that happen, Janelle?
So what happens with oobleck is by squeezing it, we're applying a force or a type of pressure. It's something that is something on the liquid that it didn't expect before. And by squeezing it, we call it pressure. And it's a type of force that makes the oobleck turn into a solid. And the more we move it, the more we squish it, the more it'll stay a solid. But as soon as we take that squeezing away and we just let it sit, all of a sudden it turns into this weird slime again. Your hand is all gooey and icky. And so I'm gonna do a quick poll. Your hands might be a little messy at this point, so it might have to be the adult at home. But the question is, have you made oobleck yet? Yes, no, maybe it's too watery, no, maybe it's too thick. Let me know so that Gabby and I can help you as best as we can. If it's too watery, you might need to add a little more oobleck, but the best
cornstarch.
Cornstarch. If it's too thick, you might need to add a little bit more water. But another good way to test it is, so if you take your hand as a fist and you dip it in slowly into your oobleck, it should just sink in and melt. But if you were to just try and punch it really, really light with your hand shouldn't go through the oobleck like it might do with water.
That's amazing.
Another way to test it is if you dip your hand right in, and you try and take it out really, really quick, your hand is going to get stuck, unlike in water. Oluchi, if you added too much water, that's okay. You can add a little more cornstarch or try and soak up a bit of that water with a paper towel. And for those of you that made oobleck, that's perfect. For those of you that are still struggling a little bit, so your oobleck may look a little watery. So if I try and move my bowl like this, it will look a little bit watery. But as soon as you try doing the little test that we did, so like touching it really, really quick, does your hand just bounce back out? Or if you add your hand really, really slow, but then try and take it out really, really quick, does it get stuck?
Yes.
So those are some different ways you can try it. Or again, you can just dig your hand right in, try and squeeze as much oobleck as you can. And when you take your hand out, do you have something solid that you can play with if you keep squeezing it and moving it around? And as soon as you stop, does it just turn right into a liquid again? So for those of you playing with the oobleck, that's perfect. Your hands are probably a bit messy now, so you probably can't answer. But for those of you that are still struggling, because some of you said it's too watery, you might need to add a little more cornstarch.
Just little by little, so just keep adding cornstarch, just a few like teaspoons or tablespoons at first, and then just keep mixing, okay?
Yeah, so I'm gonna launch this poll again, just so I can help any of you that still might be struggling. So if you've made oobleck, that is perfect. I think you're doing great, and hopefully you're now oobleck experts, and you can show anyone, like your friends, how to make it. If it's still a little too watery, again, you'll want to add that cornstarch, but again, a good check is if you can dip your finger in really, really quick, nothing is gonna happen to your hand because it just, nothing. I don't get anything stuck to my finger unless I put it in really, really slow, and my finger just disappears into the oobleck. So if you need to add a little more cornstarch, that's completely okay. You'll just be mixing that in slowly until you get to that point where you can either squish it in your hand, and when you turn it around, you get all this weird oobleck to play with. But if you need a little more help and you think it's not working by adding more cornstarch, just let us know, and Gabby and I will do our best to help you make this weird kind of oobleck. So it looks like most of you are getting there.
So what you might need to do too is keep mixing. Sometimes the cornstarch hasn't been mixed properly. So if you can, with your spoon, you can keep mixing because there might be cornstarch in the bottom, at the bottom of your bowl. Just keep mixing because that will make sure that both your water and your cornstarch is together, which will make that oobleck and will make that liquid slash solid substance.
Yeah, so with oobleck, again, if I just showed all of you that are still struggling to make it, when I tipped the bowl, there's no more cornstarch that's kind of stuck. That happened to me at the beginning. So the best way to kind of work around that is, as you're starting to make that oobleck, is using your spoon and just giving it a good little wiggle like this around different spots of your cornstarch, just to try and mix as much of it as possible. Or if you're ready to get your hands nice and messy, you can even start using your hand. And once it starts to get to that point where you can either try and squish it, or you can stick your fist in really, really slow and pull it out if you do it really, really fast. I want you all to try that. So giving it light little taps with your fist, but what happens if you try and hit it really, really fast? Your hand doesn't even go through the oobleck. Mine won't. So you can give that a try, or you can let your hand sink right in and try pulling it out really, really fast. Does it get stuck like my hand does? Because the fluid turns into a solid. So do you all remember when I was talking about how there are those three states, the gas, liquid, and solid? And water was a little bit funny, because if I were to take this little measuring cup of water and I were to dip my finger in it, it can sink into the cup as far as I want. Even if I'm going fast or slow, I can pull it out really quick. If I tried that with my oobleck, I dip my finger in really slow. If I do it slowly, it'll come out just fine. If I just like with water, but if I dip it in water, pull it out really, really fast, I don't have a problem. With my oobleck, if I dip it really, really slow, but try and pull it out really fast, my finger kind of gets stuck and it pulls the bowl up with it. Or with water, it stays a liquid, because if I try and scoop some out, it'll sit in my hand, and if I try and squeeze it, it'll just go right back into the measuring cup. But with my oobleck, if I try and squeeze it as tight as I can, and I flip my hand over, I have all this solid that happens. So oobleck is a little weird because it can act, or it can be, both a liquid, so just like it is in this bowl, or if I put enough pressure, or if I squeeze it tight enough, it'll turn into this weird kind of solid that we can play with. But as soon as we stop, all of a sudden it turns back into a liquid.
So why is it called non-Newtonian then?
Because, Gabby, do you have the answer for that?
Yes. So it's because usually everything in this world, like Janelle mentioned about the molecules, it's either a solid, a liquid, or a gas, nothing else. But with this substance right here, the oobleck, it's acting as two different things, liquid and solid. So that's why it's a non-Newtonian. So it doesn't act as a normal Newtonian fluid or substance. It's acting as two at the same time. That's why.
Yeah, so basically what Gabby's trying to say is oobleck doesn't just stay like a liquid like water, or it doesn't just act like a solid like an ice cube. Oobleck likes to be both. It likes to be both a solid and a liquid, depending on the mood. So if we add more pressure it turns into that solid. But if we just let it sit and be chill, then it likes to be a liquid. So if any of you are having more troubles with oobleck, just let us know. I'll put the poll up again, just because I want to make sure that everyone has been able to make oobleck, and maybe you aren't able to type it in. But if you are making oobleck and you've made it, that is perfect. I hope that you're busy playing with it. If it's too thick, you might just need to add a little bit of water. For those of you that would like to keep your oobleck, you can either put it into a plastic bag at home. Adults, you might even put it in a container instead, just in case the bag breaks. But if you choose to put it in a plastic bag, you might need your adult help, and you'll want to pour it really, really slow so that it stays a liquid and doesn't turn into a solid. And the nice thing about putting it in a plastic bag is that you can squish it in the bag and have lots of fun with it there. But if you put it in a container, you'll have somewhere to keep it and don't need to worry about it spilling. And for those of you that are still finding that your oobleck is too watery, we will stick around to help you. If you are done, that is great. You can keep playing with the oobleck that you've made, and you can sign out and leave the meeting if you'd like. You can stick around and type questions in the chat for us all you'd like if your hands are clean enough. I know that it can be really, really messy. But if not, do not worry. On the screen, Gabby just shared something and it's a book called Bartholomew and the Oobleck, and it's just a fun Dr. Seuss book if you'd like something else to do at home. But if not, that is okay. It's just something that we thought we'd share with all of you. So if you'd like to leave the meeting now, that is perfectly okay. You are more than welcome to go, and we hope that you've had lots and lots of fun, and we hope to see you at another session. If you still need a little help making your oobleck, that's okay. We will stay around and help you as best as we can. I know one of you had it too thick and one of you had it too watery, so we'll help you to make sure you can make oobleck. If your hands are clean, mine are quite gooey and icky. I can't really type, but if you can, then you can ask us questions. But if not, we hope you had lots of fun and hope to see you all again.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, Kintaro. Kintaro was saying bye.
Yeah, perfect. So if you want to say bye, go ahead. But we hope you've all had so much fun. Nate, we hope you have a good week as well. We hope you had fun and you've made lots of oobleck. For now, I am going to turn my mic off just while some of you are leaving. But within the next minute or two, I will help those of you that are still struggling to make oobleck.
Bye-bye, everybody.
So eating carrots with their high vitamin A content would allow you to end up seeing in the dark. And that would be really cool if eating vitamin A gave you super night vision, but unfortunately it does not. It is really important for general eye function, however, but as you can see, I'm wearing glasses and I eat a lot of carrots, so it doesn't change your glasses prescription, but it's still very important for your eye health. Next, let's do our spinach next. So I'm just tossing the leaves on. And spinach is very high in a vitamin called vitamin K. Vitamin K is one of the many vitamins and minerals that is really important for bone health. We've got our spinach here. And finally, we've got our beautiful purple cabbage, or red cabbage it's also called. So I used to not eat purple cabbage like at all. I thought it was kind of stinky, kind of smells a bit like farts, but it is a very beautiful purple color, so it always intrigued me. And then I found out how nutritious it is. So it has so many vitamins and minerals, like all the ones that these guys have, it has them all. And now it has a very special place in my heart. So purple cabbage is kind of a super veggie. Finally, we have all of our beautiful rainbow veggies laid out. Now this is optional, like we said in the supply list, but I'm going to add some protein on top. So I'm actually using tofurkey today, which I like. But if you have shredded chicken, you can put that on top.
Ooh, awesome. Keegan grows his own lettuce.
I'm very inspired by that, Keegan.
Yeah.
My dad has a garden and he grows tons of fruits and veggies, so I go steal those. But I don't have any vegetables that I'm growing myself. Okay, these are all
so Keegan's gonna have some eggs. Like, it's like all gonna be very self-sufficient.
That is, yeah,
he doesn't
super
have to go to
self-sufficient.
grocery store to buy anything. He'll have his lettuce, he'll have his eggs.
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks for sharing, Keegan. So I'm just putting maybe 4 slices on. Yeah, I'm gonna add 1 more slice. So again, if you have shredded chicken, you can put that on top. Or if you have chickpeas, like we also suggested, you can actually put those in a different bowl and use a fork to maybe mash them up just a little bit and put those on top, whatever protein you want, or you can just leave it all veggies. So I'm just going to wait a minute and then we'll get to the actual wrapping portion.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, or if you're still behind and you have anything that you want me to catch you up on, I've been answering a few questions on the chat here. So feel free to message me and I can get you caught up.
Thanks, Katie. I'm going to give my hands another rinse. They're a little sticky.
Okay, I'll launch another poll as well, so just to see how many people are done. And if we have some time, I might actually make it so we can play a little game. All right, a couple people need more time.
Sure. So I think we'll wait one more minute and then wrap the pinwheels just so we have time to show you how to cut them. But if you're a little bit behind, you can just watch us and then complete that portion afterwards. Let's see, I'm having a sip of water because we need to stay hydrated. Okay. So I am going to continue wrapping here just so that we have enough time to do so. So it looks something like this. Looks, you know, kind of messy right now, but it's going to be beautiful, I promise. So with your bell peppers right beside you, flip up the edge of the tortilla like so. And this is kind of like rolling a burrito, or I guess kind of like rolling sushi, but they're way better at that than I am. So, sushi chefs, I mean. So we'll just keep rolling, and now don't press too hard while you roll, because as you can see, all the filling will sort of spill out of the back here. So just very gentle rolling. You can kind of pick up the back a little bit with your thumbs and tuck with your fingers. Now when you get to the end, there's this little gap here. So I'm going to get the back of my spoon with a tiny bit of the cream cheese on it and glue it, or place it here just like glue for that other edge of the tortilla. And now, whoop, it's all rolled up. So here's our beautiful wrap. You could just eat it like this, but we're going to cut it. So I'm actually going to put it back onto the cutting board, because that way your parents won't get upset if we get knife marks on the cutting board as opposed to the plate. So just gonna wipe off some of the liquid here, some of the moisture. So you've got your little wrap here. Oops, sorry for that noise. Okay, and we're just going to slice down the middle. So that's what the middle will look like. Beautiful. And we'll just keep slicing. So I'm making about inch wide pinwheels. So just like that. Keep slicing here. So you might get like 4 middle pieces, maybe a few more, and the ends will be a little bit messier, but that's okay. You can still absolutely enjoy those. I'm just gently sawing through here. And I'm going to get my plate to place these on.
Well, I had a question. Can you eat the end as a snack? Definitely. That's definitely.
That is exactly the point. Whoever asked, very smart. That is a treat for the cook. Or, well, a treat for Katie, because I can't eat cream cheese, but she will enjoy it, and I'll make one with hummus later. So here we have our beautiful rainbow veggie pinwheels. So you can see all the different colors and the nice dip coming out. Beautiful. Now, Katie, will you please taste one for me?
Of course, I would gladly. There you go.
Go ahead.
I was sitting on the sidelines, working so hard. All right, so beautiful.
Fingers crossed they're good.
Super good.
Are
Awesome.
they good? That's awesome.
Yeah. I hope that everyone really enjoys these as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have a couple of minutes, so if you're ready to go, you can definitely exit out of the webinar, or if you want to play a little game, we can show you a super quick 2-minute game to play with your family and friends. Grab my thing here. And we'll also stick around for a few minutes after the live stream is over. So once 12 o'clock hits, you're welcome to go, excuse me. But if you have any other questions or need help catching up, we can definitely help you with that.
So I'm just gonna go sleep. Is that okay? Is that
Katie,
cool?
it's not time for napping yet.
Just go to sleep.
So Katie has, oh, you're so welcome, Keegan.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Oh,
that's great.
Too.
So Katie is wearing her mask here, which means you can't see anything, right?
Nope, can't see anything. It's black.
Okay, now I'm going to find a food item in my kitchen, and Katie has to guess what it is with your help. So, does anyone know what this is? Now, if you know what this is, can you please in the chat type some hints for Katie so I can read them out to her, but don't use the actual name of what it is. So help her guess. What color is it? So someone said it is green. It is green and sour.
Green and sour. What kind of vitamins is in it?
I don't even know what kind of vitamins might be in it. It's small. It's green. Vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Yeah, if you don't know the vitamins, that's okay.
I think I have an idea. Is it a lime?
It is a lime.
Awesome.
Great job, you guys.
Sweet.
Also, I see somebody raise their hand, but if you have a question, please type it into the chat. It is zesty. This is probably my favorite citrus. So if you want to play that with your family or friends, just get a little blindfold. You can use whatever you want and have somebody else try and get them to guess what the fruit in this case or any other food is.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us for Healthy Kitchen Creations today. Katie is going to go off and finish her beautiful pinwheels. And I'm going to make myself one now because I'm hungry too.
Yeah.
But you're free to go. Thank you so very much. And we have more sessions coming up as well. So if you want to see the recording of this, if you need help catching up, it will be on the SAIT Summer Camps website. And you can also email us at summer.camps@sait.ca with any questions, or if you would like to take a photo of your beautiful lunch and send us a photo of what you made.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Chloe.
Yeah, thanks, Chloe. All right, we'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll see you next week.